Hello, welcome to the Road to October. I'm your host, Ryan Lorenz. In this podcast, we will navigate baseball history through the lens of the Fall Classic. In this episode, we will be covering the highly anticipated and historic first game of the World Series between the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Boston Americans, a moment that sent ripples through the world of baseball. Prior to this game, there had not been what we would recognize as a World Series. There had been occasions where the top teams in the National League had played one another in the postseason, but Barney Dreyfuss, the owner of the National League's Pittsburgh Pirates, challenged the pennant-winning Boston Americans of the two-year-old American League to a best-of-9 head-to-head postseason playoff. At times during September, it was even uncertain whether the matchup between the two teams would even take place. However, the owners ultimately came to an agreement whereby the first 3 games would be played in Boston, with the next 4 games being played in Pittsburgh, and if more games were required, the games would be played again in Boston. The first game was scheduled to be played October 1st. With over 16,000 spectators crammed in the confines of the old traveling circus grounds, a fever spread amongst the fans, waiting to see the first pitch of the best-of-9 series. The Huntington Avenue grounds, known for their expansive outfield, were a fitting venue for this historic event. The 36-year-old future Hall of Famer, Cy Young, stepped onto the mound, and Ginger Beaumont stepped into the batter's box. As the clock struck 12, Hank O'Day, the home umpire, signaled the start of the first game of the first World Series. Cy Young makes quick work of the first 2 batters, getting Ginger Beaumont to fly out to center fielder Chick Stahl, and then was able to induce a pop-out by the player-manager Fred Clark. However, the third batter in the Pirates lineup proves to be a difficult out when Tommy Leach is able to leg out a triple. This brings up the best hitter in the Pittsburgh lineup, Honus Wagner. Though he is hampered with a leg injury, Honus Wagner versus Cy Young is a matchup of 2 titans of the sport. The Flying Dutchman wins this battle with a single to left field. Tommy Leach scores and gives the Pirates the lead. Wagner is not done. Even with his leg injury, he's still able to steal second base. This brings up Kitty Bransfield, who hits a grounder to the second baseman, Hope Ferris. This ground ball does not end the inning, though. Ferris is unable to field the ball cleanly, and Bransfield is able to reach base on the error. The error also allows Honus Wagner to move up to third. The Pirates are not done with stealing bases, and the Americans are not done committing mistakes. While Claude Ritchie is up to bat, Kitty Bransfield steals second base. The American catcher, Lou Krieger, commits a throwing error, allowing Wagner to score and Kitty to move up to third. Claude Ritchie eventually walks and then subsequently steals second. Jimmy Sebring steps into the box next and singles to left field. Both Bransfield and Ritchie score, bringing the Pirates' lead to 4. With the inning still not over, Ed Phelps steps to the plate. Cy Young is able to get Phelps to strike out, but disaster strikes when the catcher drops the third strike, allowing Phelps to reach base and Sebring to move up to third. Cy Young now has to face the 9th batter this inning. This is probably not how he wanted to start the day. He strikes out the opposing pitcher, Deacon Felipe. It's now Felipe's turn to take the mound. In his 4th season with the Pirates and a litany of injuries that have plagued the Pittsburgh pitching staff, Felipe is going to be an arm that the Pirates are going to lean on this postseason. The first batter he faces is Patsy Dougherty. Felipe gets Dougherty to strike out swinging. The same fate will befall the next batter, the Americans' player-manager, Jimmy Collins. Chick Stahl then steps into the batter's box. Will Deacon be able to get a 1-2-3 inning? Not this time. Stahl singles on a fly ball to left field. The next batter up is Buck Freeman, who is able to make contact, but the ball ends up in Jimmy Sebring's glove in right field. Cy Young steps back onto the mound, hoping to avoid giving up any more runs like he did in the first inning. He strikes out Ginger Beaumont. That brings up Fred Clark, who hits a single to left field. But Clark is not satisfied with a single. He wants 2. Patsy Dougherty fields the ball, comes up throwing. A laser to the second baseman, Hope Ferris, who tags out Clark. Jimmy Leach steps up to the plate, and he flies out to right field. A much less eventful inning for Cy Young with the help of a fine defensive play. The Americans come up to the plate in the bottom half of the second inning, hoping to close the gap in this 4-0 game. Deacon Felipe has other plans. He strikes out the side swinging. The American batters do not stand a chance against Felipe right now. He looks dominant. Honus Wagner leads off the top of the third inning for the Pirates. Cy Young gets the better of Wagner this time, getting him to pop up to the third baseman. Kitty Bransfield is now up and hits a sharp liner to right field. Bransfield turns on the jets and arrives at third base safely. Cy Young has to buckle down to avoid allowing any more runs with a runner on third and only one out. Cy Young does just that and gets Claude Ritchie to strike out swinging. 2 outs. Jimmy Sebring is looking to add to the Pirates' lead and does so by hitting a single into right field. Pittsburgh now leads 5-0. With Ed Phelps up now, Cy Young is able to induce a comebacker to the mound and tosses it to first base for the out. Now to the bottom half. With Felipe back on the mound, the Pirates are looking to keep their lead and not allow the Americans to get back into this game. Lou Krieger comes up for his first at-bat for the Americans and is looking to put a ball in play after the Americans all went down swinging in the last inning. Krieger makes contact, but it's a ground ball to third baseman, who rifles the ball across the diamond to get him out at first. Cy Young now steps up to the plate and looks to help his own cause. He too makes contact and puts the ball in play, but this ball doesn't leave the infield either. A grounder to the second baseman, Claude Ritchie, who throws to first to get Young out. Patsy Dougherty now steps up and would like to avoid another inning where the American batters are set down in order. Dougherty gets a ball out of the infield, but he's unable to find open grass, and the center fielder catches the ball. End of the third inning. The top of the fourth inning starts with the pitchers facing one another. Just as Felipe was able to get Cy Young out in the previous inning, Cy Young gets Deacon Felipe out with a pop-up to the shortstop. This brings the lineup around, and Ginger Beaumont steps to the plate. Beaumont hits the ball to second base, where Hope Ferris commits his second error of the game, and Beaumont reaches safely. Fred Clark now steps up and singles to left field. Beaumont is only able to advance to second base. Tommy Leach then follows with another single, this one to center field. Ginger Beaumont gets a good jump and makes it home safely on the single. The Americans now trail the Pirates 6-0. This brings Honus Wagner to the plate. So far in this matchup of all-time greats in the game, things are evenly matched. Cy Young gets Wagner to pop out to shortstop, and Young is able to work his way out of the inning, only allowing one run to score by getting Kitty Bransfield to ground out to the second baseman. Halfway through the game, Deacon Felipe has been looking dominant, if not untouchable up to this point. He looks to continue this trend in the bottom of the fourth. Jimmy Collins steps to the plate, but he is unable to get anything started for the Americans, as he hits the ball to the left fielder for an out. Chick Stahl does not fare much better against Felipe, as he flies out to the center fielder. Buck Freeman then steps up to bat, looking to provide the Americans with their first base runner since the first inning. He does just that when he hits the ball to first baseman Kitty Bransfield, but Buck Freeman beats him to the base for a single. Freddie Parent then steps in. He makes contact with the ball, but the ball is hit directly to the third baseman. But Tommy Leach at third makes an errant throw. Parent reaches first safely, and the Americans have runners in scoring position and are looking to cut down the Pirates' lead. However, Candy LaChance is unable to advance the runners any further when he grounds out to the pitcher. Cy Young comes back to the mound for another inning of work to face the bottom half of the Pittsburgh lineup. First, he faces Claude Ritchie. Cy Young gets Ritchie to hit a grounder to the third baseman, who tosses it to first for the out. Jimmy Sebring is now up and follows suit and grounds out to third. Ed Phelps prevents Cy Young from sitting down the batters in order when he singles to right field. This brings up the pitcher, Deacon Felipe, to the plate. Felipe pops out to the second baseman, bringing the top half of the fifth inning to an end. Deacon Felipe has to hurry back out to the mound after popping out. He's set to face the bottom three batters in the Boston lineup. He makes quick work of Hope Ferris and gets him to strike out swinging. The catcher, Lou Krieger, then steps to the plate. Krieger makes contact, but only to ground out to the future Hall of Famer, Honus Wagner. Cy Young then takes his place in the batter's box. He's only able to fly out to left field. After 5 innings, the Pirates lead the Americans 6-0. Ginger Beaumont leads off the top of the 6th inning for Pittsburgh. He hits the ball high, but it stays in the infield, and Jimmy Collins secures the catch. Fred Clark then steps to face Cy Young. Cy Young gets Clark to strike out swinging. Next up is Tommy Leach, who hits the ball to third base, but beats out the throw to first. Honus Wagner then steps up to the plate, and he gets the better of Cy Young in this at-bat by drawing a walk. Runners are at first and second. Kitty Bransfield steps into the box. He makes contact, but the ball is hit to the second baseman, who tosses it to the shortstop covering second for the final out at the top of the inning. Dougherty leads off the bottom half of the inning, and Felipe gets Dougherty to pop out to the second baseman. Player manager Jimmy Collins then steps up, looking to change what has been an underwhelming performance for his team on offense. Collins is unable to do so when he grounds out to the second baseman. Felipe continues his dominance on the mound when he strikes out the next batter, Chickstall, to end the inning. Through 6 innings, Cy Young has allowed 6 runs, though not all of those runs are earned. Cy Young has been let down by his team defense, which has committed a couple of errors. Claude Ritchie steps to the plate for the Pirates. Ritchie grounds out to Freddie Parent at short. Jimmy Sebring then steps up to the plate. Sebring etches his name in history by completing one of the firsts for the World Series. Sebring puts the ball in play and begins his race around the bases, arriving safely at home. Jimmy Sebring has just hit the first home run of the World Series, and it's an inside-the-ballpark home run at that. Cy Young has to wipe the previous at-bat from his memory as Ed Phelps enters the batter's box. Phelps flies out to right field. Next up is Deacon Felipe, but he is only able to ground out to shortstop. Though Take Me Out to the Ballgame might not have been sung between the top and bottom half of the 7th inning as it is nowadays, something happens between halves, and the Boston Bats are finally about to awaken. Buck Freeman starts off the bottom half of the 7th inning with a triple to right field. Freddie Parent followed up with another triple, this time to left field, as Freeman scores, cutting the Pittsburgh lead down from 7 to 6. Next at bat is Candy LaChance, who would cut down the lead even further with a sacrifice fly to the left fielder. The score now stands Pirates 7, Americans 2, with only 1 out in the inning. Hope Ferris steps up. He is hit by a pitch. Deacon Felipe is able to right the ship on the mound and strike out the next 2 batters to end the inning. After finally getting some run support from his offense, but ending the bottom half of the 7th inning with a strikeout, Cy Young retook the mound. Young was able to get the first 2 successive outs when he got Ginger Beaumont to ground out to the shortstop and Fred Clark to fly out to right field. Tommy Leach then stepped to the plate and laced a triple into right field for his second triple of the game. Honus Wagner then stepped in for another battle with Cy Young, looking to regain some of the lead that the Americans had cut into the previous inning. Wagner eventually drew a walk with Kitty Bransfield at the plate. The Pirates attempted a double steal. Lou Krieger fired down to second base in an attempt to get Wagner, but the ball was cut off and thrown back to home to get Leach at the plate. After a rest on the bench, Deacon Felipe stepped back on the mound and looked to continue his dominance that he established at the end of the 7th inning. Felipe was able to get Patsy Dougherty to pop up to the shortstop, then Jimmy Collins to ground out to Honus Wagner at second. The inning ends with Chickstall hitting the ball to the center fielder for an out. Cy Young steps back onto the mound for the top of the 9th. This is an era of baseball which is much different from what you're used to seeing today. Pitchers started and finished the majority of the games that they played. There was no worry about pitch counts, nor did the team have bullpens full of arms that could step in at a moment's notice. Cy Young finished his outing strong. He faced 3 batters in the 9th. All 3 batters put the ball in play, but all 3 resulted in outs. Bransfield flew out to center, Ritchie grounded out to third, and Sebring grounded out to second. With the Americans trailing 7-2, it's their turn to step to the plate in the bottom half of the inning. The odds are stacked against their favor, however, with how dominant Deacon Felipe has been throughout the game. But as always with baseball, until there are 3 outs in the bottom of the 9th, there's still a chance. First up for Boston was Buck Freeman. Freeman hits the ball to Honus Wagner, who's normally sure-handed, but commits a fielding error, allowing Freeman to reach safely. Next in the box is Freddie Parent, who hit a single to left field, allowing Freeman to move up to third. Candy LaChance stepped up to the plate with a chance to drive in a run, and he did just that with a sacrifice fly to left field. The Pirates' lead is now down to 4. Hope Ferris is now up to bat. Ferris hits a ground ball to third and is able to beat out the throw. The Americans now have runners at first and second with 1 out. Jimmy Collins decides to use a pinch hitter for Lou Krieger, bringing up Jack O'Brien. This decision, however, does not pan out for Boston, as O'Brien strikes out swinging. Jimmy Collins again goes to his bench in a final attempt to bring the Americans closer to the Pirates. Duke Farrell replaces Cy Young. Deacon Felipe needed just 1 more out to finish his complete game and give Pittsburgh a win and a lead in the series. Felipe hurled the ball at the plate. Duke Farrell swung and made contact with the ball. However, it wasn't solid contact and resulted in a grounder back to Felipe. Felipe tosses the ball to first for the 3rd and final out of the 9th inning. The game finishes in just under 2 hours' time. Felipe finished the game allowing 6 hits in his 9 innings of work, allowing 3 runs, 2 of those earned, and striking out 10 Boston hitters. Cy Young finished the game allowing 12 hits, 7 runs, only 3 of those being earned, and striking out 5 hitters. Pittsburgh would look to add to its series lead in the next game of the series, which would take place the following day, when Bill Dineen would start for the Boston Americans against Sam Lever for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Thank you for listening, and make sure to join us for the next episode, Game 2 of the 1903 World Series, on the road to October.